like to welcome to the show a new acquaintance and friend. I have Mary Copeland from Compass and Clock. Mary, welcome to Clallam Corner.
Thank you for joining me. Yeah, thank you for inviting me, Jay.
Well, it's funny because right before hitting record, I was telling you I've seen a lot of you because I like to do research on my guests, and you're no stranger to the camera. I've seen a pretty robust YouTube channel that you've got under your belt.
We do have some under our YouTube channel and on our website because maybe some people, their eyesight's not what it used to be. So I want to make sure when I'm trying to get information out there to our neighbors that they have choices of mediums in which better suits them.
Well, I say this as a business owner. You have to be a chameleon where you can meet your customer where they want to be met. Some want video, some want written text, some want face-to-face, or, you got to be able to do all of them in this day and age, it seems like.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's talk about that. You said the word neighbors, and I've seen that on your website. I think it's neighbors helping neighbors, right? It's kind of one of the slogans of Compass and Clock. Tell us in a nutshell, what is Compass and Clock?
Okay, so Compass and Clock is a multimedia program that I launched in 2018 as a legacy to my mom, because when we were trying to navigate the challenges with my mom's Alzheimer's and her and dad, because they were aging at different levels, I didn't know answers to so many questions. And so I created this program so people can come to one place and get a whole lot of info, tools, and tips so they can successfully navigate the challenges that come with aging and do it as a family, the adult kids and the parents. But the point is to get them information as early as possible so they can enjoy the journey and avoid any crisis modes if possible.
Yeah, I was watching one of your videos and it said to avoid that moment of like panic and chaos that you have a game plan going into just aging parents, right?
Yep, game plan is a perfect word.
Well, you and I were talking about being sports junkies. So, my team probably rolls their eyes because I make 50 sports analogies a week, it seems like. But so tell me about, I've done my research, but I'd like to hear from the horse's mouth. Tell me about some of the big pillars and conversations that Compass and Clock addresses for folks.
So behind me, you could see my magazine. So through the magazine, in print and online, I'll give you a perfect example. You have a loved one, they have to go to the emergency room, and you need to understand and let's assume they're over 65. You need to understand what are the differences between under observation versus being admitted to the hospital, and what does Medicare pay and what doesn't it cover. And that is a huge tool, piece of knowledge to understand, because it could save you tens of thousands of dollars. If you're under observation and your doctor moves you to rehab, then Medicare doesn't cover the cost. If you were admitted as a patient and you were there 3 midnights and your doctor moves you to rehab, then Medicare pays 100% of the first 20 days, and then the next 80 days, all but approximately like $170. And if you have supplemental insurance, it could pick that up too. So that amount of money could wipe out somebody's, long-term care, bank account that they've put aside for aging. So that little tip right there is worth knowing.
So lots of stuff on, obviously, you and I both know this. I've seen it on your website. What is it? 10,000 or thousands and thousands of people turning 65, baby boomers aging into 65 every day, right?
Yeah, 10,000 people turn 65 every day. And by 2030, all the baby boomers will have turned 65, and it's going to make up 20% of the US population.
And so these are all of the conversations that are so important for them to do the research, but also their kids, because like you said, this is part of aging, is that it's oftentimes a family process of, taking care of mom and dad as they want to live freely throughout their years, and figuring out ways to not outlive their money, and different strategies that go into that. So your website talks about obviously some of the financial and health things, legal stuff. You guys cover kind of everything, right?
Yeah, so we focus on 6 subject matters, and then all that goes in with those. So,
All right, I'm going to quiz you on the 6. What are the 6? Ready?
yes, senior housing choices, healthcare, financial planning, legal guidance, leisure pursuits, which is my favorite, and family support.
There it is. Okay, perfect. Good job. I put you on the spot there. Didn't give you any prep for that, but I'm glad.
Okay.
Obviously, it's your company, your magazine. I'm glad you know your 6 pillars of content.
And I actually, even though I am the owner and founder, I'm one person, I'm the only employee, but I think of it as our company, because all the members of Compass and Clock, the advertisers, I don't call them advertisers, I call them members, because they're the experts in their field. I don't know every single thing that they know. I'm not the expert, elder law attorney. I'm not the expert Medicare specialist, etc. So I rely on them, and we rely on each other. And as a team, this is where we help our neighbors, because sometimes it takes a village.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really cool process. So talk about the magazine. You say you've got the magazine. How often does it come out, and where can folks get it?
Okay, so this is the current fall winter issue. That's Port Ludlow on the front cover there. And it comes out twice a year. So the spring summer issue, May 1st, the fall winter issue, November 1st. It's in print, but it's also online. So you can go to the Compass and andclock.com website, and it's under the e-magazine tab. If you would like names of places in Squim and anywhere else, I tried to put it at places where I think people are going to have to spend a little bit of time. They have to wait. It's in professionals' offices, such as your office. It's at
Yes,
Castell
indeed.
Insurance. It can be at a chamber of commerce. It can be at some eateries. It can be at senior centers. In Shipley Center, it's at John L. Scott real estate offices are great places, because people are moving to town, and it can go into their welcome packet. Fifth Avenue is a great spot in Squim for the magazine. There's a lot of places there, whether it's physical therapy, whether it's the orthotics place of business. It's at the O3A, the Olympic Area on Aging Agency. It's at KSQM-FM. So Les Schwab Tires, goes out the door there, financial advisors, you name it.
All over. So you mentioned a lot of hot spots on the, peninsula area. What's the distribution? Is it Western Washington? Is it just the peninsula? Tell us a little bit about the geographic area.
So when I launched this in January of 2018, knowing it was just me, I decided I would start with the West Sound. And so I set the parameters of Gig Harbor to Port Angeles, and, a little bit of the surrounding area. So for instance, when I bring the magazine to the O3A in the Squim office, they always bring it out to Forks. When I go to Gig Harbor, I do go across the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, and I'll go to CHI, Franciscan Hospice and Palliative Care, and Multicare over there, and some other places. So that's where I reach physically with the magazine. But these matters, like, talking about understanding Medicare or advanced directives or anything like that, those are questions that everybody would have across the country. So, you can come to the website and get some great information, but the advertising in there is what I would call hyper local.
Yeah.
So when folks are looking for professionals in their neighborhood that they can do business with, because they need their services, they need their help, then they will find somebody in there. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the digital reach, and like you said, the information is topical nationwide. So the digital reach, I'm sure you've had people watching videos and clicking on links from everywhere, which is awesome. Tell me, I'm curious about the name. How'd you come up with it? What's it mean? What's it mean to you? What's Compass and Clock?
Okay. So I was doing advertising sales for an elder law attorney in Federal Way that has a program called Aging Options. back in 2014. And Mr. Richard Tizano, who's an elder law attorney in Poulsbo, is the one that got me involved in this. And he said, I have this marketing project. So it was to launch the Aging Options magazine to the West Sound. And it was a publication that came out once a year. And as soon I was 4 months into it or about that, yeah, it wasn't very long. I thought, once a year isn't enough. There's a lot of information we need to be giving people more on a regular basis. And what I found when I would go into an office, let's say a healthcare provider's office, and there's people sitting in the waiting room, and I would drop off the magazine, I'd say, hey, the new issue's here. People would, I'd say at least half the time, people would make fun of me, and they'd say, aging options, ha, 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 I didn't know I had a choice. So I knew when I launched my company that I really wanted to get in front of people a lot earlier in life. So I want to reach people 40 and older, the adult kids, because of my own personal experience. So I figured I wanted to stay away from the word seniors. I want to stay away from the word elderly, and I want to stay away from the word aging. So if what we're trying to do is give people guidance and support and the tools in which to, help themselves and their family, then we're their compass. We're giving them direction. We're giving them guidance. And then clock is tick tock, tick tock. We're all getting older, at the same rate, one day at a time. So that's how I came up with it. And then the tagline, navigating life today to remain independent tomorrow, helps explain it.
That's a really awesome story. And it makes a lot of sense. I was just curious where it came from. So that is awesome that you saw something and wanted to be better when you launched your own version of it, which is amazing.
Yeah. And I really love getting involved with the community. So that's why I have so many different levels, mediums of the program in which to reach people, because I'm a people person. I like being with people and conversing with them. I love that I have readers that call me and ask for help. I have an 81 and 82-year-old couple that live in Bremerton that reached out to me, and they think they needed to put a backup plan in place. So what should I do? And so it's been great helping them.
This COVID stuff, being on lockdown and not socializing like normal, must be driving you crazy.
A little bit. But I have figured out ways in which to safely still interact with our neighbors in person. And that was, I did between June and July, I did 5 food drives for local food banks. And then in November, I did 5 pet food and supply drives for humane societies. 2 were for Peninsula and 3 were for Kitsap on that one. And so I was able to be out there in the public in the rain underneath my tent with my mask on and my gloves, and people would drive up and pop their trunk, and we would take things out that they wanted us to, and we would be able to talk to them, and they could ask us questions, and I'd give them the magazine. And there were a lot of great stories that people were telling us, because that might have been their only time they were leaving the house, maybe was going to the grocery store. Yeah. And I did these all in the parking lot of Safeway, of the different Safeways. So, people were so generous. People had stimulus checks that they felt that they wanted to share with the community. So they would write the check to the food bank or the Humane Society. It was a great way to touch my neighbors.
A lot of good can come from this type of thing as well. I think there's a lot of people feeling generous. I have one question before we start to wrap this up. I was doing some snooping on the YouTube channel, and tell me about the road ahead. It looked like you were in like a professional studio. You've got great camera work and stuff. What was that, like an annual kind of event or roundtable? Talk to me about that.
So Compass and Clock is the name of the company, but when I do other components to the program, I've given them different names. So one of them is called the Road Ahead, and in swim, this would have been our 4th annual Road Ahead event where people would come to, and there would be experts like you there for people to ask questions of. We would have keynote speakers, free healthcare screenings, etc. And so off of that, I walked into a recording studio one day in Bremerton called BCAT, and it's the Bremerton Public Access Cable Station. And they were having an open house, and I thought they were a radio station, and I learned that they were the cable station. And so I was just talking to somebody and telling them my story. And so we created the Road Ahead series, where I will go into the studio. It's twice a month, and I would go in for an hour. And in that hour, I could do 2 interviews. I was doing 3, but they asked me to do 2 because then they do the editing. And so I would have somebody like you in there, James, and I would ask you questions about insurance and about Medicare, et cetera. And we would just have, like we're doing right now, we would have a conversation with each other, nice and easy, because you know the ins and outs of everything you do, and the same with me. And it gets recorded. And because it's in Bremerton, it's on Kitsap cable stations. So it's on, right now I recorded 3 dozen of those.
Wow,
And
that's awesome.
yeah, they're approximately 12 minutes long. And we are on cable TV in Kitsap County on Comcast Channel 12 and Wave Channel 3 on Sunday mornings and Thursday mornings. And so hopefully we could get back in the studio soon so we can continue doing those in the studio.
Yeah, put out fresh content. It's really cool. I encourage you guys to go check out the YouTube channel. We'll put links below, but there's some really great content. It's on the website, on YouTube. The interviews are really awesome. I'm going to wrap it up. I think that there's actually 2 demographics. You've made a great pitch for your readers because there's so much great content for those that have aging parents or are aging themselves, and how they can kind of get educated on all the steps to have the plan, like you said. But there's also a pretty good market, it sounds like, for and need for advertisers. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because there's another demographic that would probably be good if I wanted to get my voice or my slogans out there in your magazine. What's it look like, and how can they get a hold of you if they wanted to advertise?
So the way that it works is advertisers, members of the program, I invite to be part of Compass and Clock, and they have to hit 3 criteria. They have to be compassionate. They have to truly, truly care about the people that they serve. They have to be experienced, and they have to be professional, because as I said earlier when we were chatting, sometimes it takes a village. So, I'll have a member call me and they'll have a client that's in a crisis mode and they need the services of 4 or 5 different members. And because I have surrounded myself with those types of experts, then it makes it easy to help a family. Anybody can give me a call. All my contact information is on the website at www.compassandandclock.com.
I'll put it down below you right here.
Hey, thank you. And of course, I have an email address too, compassandclockmc for Mary Copeland @gmail.com.
I love the fact that you vet people too, that you don't just want to let, the highest bidder throw an advertisement out there that may not fit kind of your mission statement, I would say. I think that's really cool, because I'm sure that there's quite a bit of an expense to put all this stuff together, to get on, the studio time, to print the magazines, to deliver all that. There's a lot that goes into it, but I love the fact that you take it so seriously, that you kind of want people to fit your tribe mentality. That's awesome.
And the one thing I didn't say that I should make a point of stating is everything is free. This gorgeous, high quality 80-page magazine, free. Every single piece of information that I put out there for people to access, free.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Well, Mary, this has been an absolute pleasure. We're about 15 minutes up. So your 15 minutes of Clallam Corner fame are up, but you're used to this stuff. You're in the studio all the time down in Bremerton. So this was easy, right?
This was very easy.
And I hope that for your sake, you get to see your son play a little bit of baseball this spring. I know that we were talking about that before getting on. I know we're all looking forward to being outside again and getting back to normal. So I hope that he gets a few cracks at the at-bat.
Yeah, a few baseball games and football games will work some magic for these seniors in high school.
No doubt. Well, I really appreciate the time. I look forward to connecting with you further. And if, of course, all the links are below, if anyone wants to get a hold of Mary, she'd love to hear from you. Even the readers she'd love to hear from, right?
I hear from them often, so it's great.
I love that. Well, thank you so much, Mary. I'm going to hit end and we will talk with you later.
Thank you, James. Stay safe and healthy and happy.
All right.